then like I'm sorry to say, like I haven't read all the series that they're voting for.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. YouTube should be working now to everyone on YouTube, and there should be no more latency. I'll just run 2 instances of OBS. Whatever. My computer can explode. I don't need it. I'll make a new one. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like throw money at Nen so that he can like upgrade the computer.
Yeah. Is it? Wait. Everyone hated the awards. Is not a controversial take. I agree. Some people liked the awards. Hello, Freddie. Some people liked the awards. It's what it is. I have mixed feelings on the awards, which is, I don't know, how do you feel about it, Kaz? How did the awards feel to you?
They didn't really feel that impactful to me. Like I can tell you like a couple of things, but that's about it. Like, I mean, but obviously this is from the perspective of someone who is like, at least one is friends with somebody who doesn't want to win, which is fair.
Yeah.
Which is fair, and is also friends with and working with someone who wants to win, not for the featured reason.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of this is the fact that all the people I know who are winning or who are going to win their categories, that I've spoken to in the past week, have all expressed contempt or mild contempt from mild to severe about their contest. they're both going to win, and they have expressed contempt, and it's hilarious.
Like I don't know, like I guess it to them it also kind of feels like, is this how we're going to be like recognized, like and only by Webtoon, like not for our own like work, but only because like a bunch of like weird voting things that made it seem like okay. Yes, I mean, okay, so shall we go live first?
Actually,
and then like address
the you know what, I'll do the intro, I'll do the topic breakdown, and we'll go from there. Cool.
Yeah, sure. Cool. And we'll start with the Canvas Awards, actually, because people are talking about it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, kids. Hey, everybody, what's up? And I can't speak English.
Canvas Awards for exposure.
Yeah. Hey.
Wait, that makes it sound like Canvas Awards is like are only for exposure.
Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to episode 46 of the Webcomics Hubcast, titled Marvel Method.
45 or 46?
46. Last one was 45 with Toaster Dude. That was 45.
Yeah, well, because the title on Twitch says 45. Jeez.
I said that. I'm not dealing with this. I've done my job.
Yeah, guys.
Not dealing with this.
Hashtag like streamer struggle tweets.
YouTube breaks. Twitch is doing this to me. Nah, I don't have time for either of you.
How do you should change Marvel Method, but not the number?
Don't.
But yes, hello everyone.
I'm begging you right now. All right. So
yes, hello everyone. Welcome to
episode 46. Marvel Method is a good episode. I didn't fuck anything up.
Yes, he is Nen, the Grand Maester of Scuff. And I am Kaz, the bishop of probably Scuff as well, because Scuff is pretty much on brand whenever you're like trying to put content out, right?
Yeah, but your Scuff is so much less.
Well, I mean, whether you scuff with grace or not, that's a whole discussion in itself. But that is like not.
Our topic list today is we're going to talk about the Marvel 616 documentary, also known as Marvel document, right? I watched the entire thing, by the way, for this weekend. But we're going to specifically be talking about, I think, episode 11, Marvel Method. We're going to talk about the Canvas awards contest thing, the awards. We might also touch on Webtoon Greenlight during that discussion. We'll talk about Webtoon service provider change and Webtoon Studios and the Sweet Home Netflix special, which I'm kind of excited for. And we will talk about whether or not you should publicly name and shame people who end up on 4 exposure. dot text. All right.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole full exposure thing might seem a little bit like, why are we doing this? But then but I think a bunch of you guys, right, when in the process of creating, you may have already been approached, or you will be approached at some point. Hey, would you like to collaborate on a webtoon together? And they can't pay you, in whether you're an artist or not. But they'll be like, when it gets popular, you get compensated and stuff like that, and you'll probably hear things that we will mention about that sort of thing that you probably have already heard before, because Nen and Kaz have been somewhat on the air like almost every other week for 2+ years now. I think maybe
it's been over 2 years.
3 years.
3 years. It's been 3 years. It's gonna be 3 years in like a few weeks.
In January.
Yeah, in January. Jesus Christ.
Okay, but not. I mean, I know it's not 3 years of us as a duo, but I mean, yes, it is almost 3 years. But no cap though. I'm kind of looking forward to the show changing a little bit next year, because I am actually going to be full-time creative.
And I have pretty much figured out a way to schedule a daily stream on my own personal channel, which means I have more time to just do stuff. I finished editing a bunch of highlight videos yesterday. Expect videos on the YouTube channel for once.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you actually have time, after going back to school, you actually have time every day?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, because I only have 10 hours of lectures a week. It's wild being a college.
Please make sure you do not fail out of school.
I know, because, right? I'm actually terrified of that right now.
It's plague season, and I know that everything is #scuff is pretty much the state of the world and everything else right now, but we still need a Nen, to be in a decent position where he is geographically and mentally.
My heart feels warmed.
Shall we proceed to the subject of extreme contention in the chat before we started the show, which is the Canvas
Awards.
Oh yes.
All right.
Okay.
How'd you want to open this?
All right, so we did talk about them when they all started launching up, and from my memory, just a refresher for everyone else, it's that you could so you pretty much had to read series and all that, and you have to read 50 to nominate.
Yeah,
you had to be reading 50 series. I mean, was it 50 series?
Something like that. You have to read a bunch. You have to read a bunch of series, and then you're allowed to nominate. But voting was for everyone.
Yeah, was it 5 chapters? I mean,
there it is. 5 episodes of 50 series. There it is.
Okay, yeah. So I always thought at one point it was 5 episodes total to make 50 chapters, and now it's 50 series. It's a little bit much, but I kind of get it. I kind of get why they would want to restrict the voting pool to the most seasoned of Canvas readers. But when how Webtoon counts reading, you could easily just speed scroll through, and that counts as 1 episode.
Yeah.
So that's not really great, in my opinion. But let's put that aside, okay? Because what's done is done. Yeah. So 5 episodes of 50 series, purposely, in their opinion, high bar. And then, so if you had hit that, now whenever the start of the nomination period commenced, which is the early nomination period, was top 50 of each category.
Yes.
So it's top 50 of supernatural, top 50 of romance, top 50 of fantasy, and blah 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 blah. So you pretty much get 300 out of 300 series you're supposed to pick in a forum.
They did reduce the number of them that they put out for the vote, didn't they?
I wasn't part of the voting pool, because I was actually busy creating webtoons rather than reading all of them in Canvas, because the struggle is real.
How dare you? I voted.
Okay,
I need a badge.
So I voted. The nature of this year. So I guess in the end, not every category had 50 series in it up for consideration, but you see 50 series, right? Some categories, I hate to say this, but some categories are more likely to get a lot of good quality visually and in terms of the story series. Other categories, you might get a handful, about 10 or so of good ones, and the rest that made it into the pool are just ugh. Well, because
I mean, like, yeah, but I think what happens is all so they nominated, and for each category, what they did was they did pick 12. So they picked 12, and that's what we saw. So they picked 12.
wait, they picked 12.
Yeah, they picked the top
pick 12?
12
Yeah.
nominated. So the top 12 nominated series is what they put up for voting. And they put up the top 12 for each category to be voted on.
Top 12.
Yeah, of each category.
Yeah, sorry, I got mixed up with the 50 because like at first they said top 50 series, and then now it's 12 per category, but then 6 times 12 is not 50.
Yeah.
Jeez. See, now even I can't make math now.
But yeah, they topped them, so they put the top 12 for each category to vote on. I voted for every category. It was very funny because I was sitting in a voice chat talking about it.
Wait. I'm really confused. Top 12 of each category was for when the open voting came out, or when the
nomination is you need to read 5 episodes of 50 series, then you can nominate Webtoons for the contest. I wasn't part of the nominations because I didn't read that many. I have things to do.
Oh wait, the part of the nominations they only allowed you to nominate from within like top 50 per category. Okay, so I wasn't wrong.
Okay, is that true? Okay, cool.
Yes. I think I believe so. Like, I mean, Studio needs to confirm because they were part of like forum. Like, I remember them looking in and they're like, yeah, please don't vote for Endless Night if to get into the top 12. Like, but please vote for another series. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, okay. But you weren't nominated?
No, she was nominated, but she was not nominating.
Okay. Nominated. You probably didn't read. But you did not read in time to nominate.
No, I don't think they're gonna allow her to nominate. But it's fine. It's fine. What matters is people were chosen. They were chosen, and they had to be voted on. The categories were comedy, romance, fantasy, and stuff. It was very weird watching the voting. There was only one voting section that was like kind of guaranteed to go to one person, and that was comedy. Like,
yeah, okay, so let's back up a little bit. I am not sure why they thought it was a good idea to show the votes.
I mean, on some, while I think you're totally right, that showing the votes will skew people to vote for something if something is like dominating. It was very funny.
Or I mean, it skew people a couple of ways. Maybe they think like it should just skew people to vote for the lesser whatever series. Now, obviously I have like knowledge at this point of like how like webtoons like get picked up and like whether like you actually do is it whether like the minute you like get like the highest number of votes you dead cert for like you're dead cert for like what is it the award and all that.
Yeah.
I mean I can answer a few questions there, but let's just first pick on the voting thing, okay? Mm-hmm. And then I'll tell you like what it's like with the whole like the actual selection.
So like, okay, on the voting topic, which I think is still hilarious, Merryweather won his category, surprisingly by a near landslide, apart from one other series getting really close. I'm pretty sure Merryweather
Pixie and Brutus, yeah.
Yeah, which that was actually kind of surprising to see that level of support for that other comic.
I'm not surprised. Pixie and Brutus is one of those like comics that is quite charming and is all over the place on Facebook. And
I never read it, so I didn't even expect it, to be honest. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, well, I wasn't surprised.
You got all the information. I'm just out here.
Not really. I wouldn't say that, but yeah, let's carry on. So yeah, that was a comedy.
Yeah.
That was comedy.
I was reading fantasy. Fantasy was a weird one because I think what was winning in fantasy was a bunch of BL comics with fantasy. Yeah, but the top.
I thought it was romance, not fantasy.
It felt like it, to be honest. It was a bunch of BL comics winning, and then like Anglasius. I don't know who won at the end of that. I wasn't actually watching the voting, but okay. Like I know romance was who was romance again? Actually, I think romance was Oath. Probably won that. Slice of Life. I think it was Sunnyside Skies, which I was talking with Soap while this was going on, so I'm pretty sure it was Sunnyside Skies. And I think Supernatural, which is the last one. I think Supernatural. I think it was Endless Night Encore, which which is very funny. Which is very funny to me because I don't think she wanted to win. I don't think they wanted to win.
Who?
I don't think Sia wanted to win Endless Night Encore. I wanted to win the Supernatural category. But yeah, Supernatural category pulled through there.
The Supernatural was played. Okay,
I didn't see play that until late, so I wouldn't have known.
Okay, so apart from Merryweather in the comedy category, the other category, like winners, quote unquote, so Oath was up top for quite a few reasons, and also Play Dead was up top. These two creators also have originals on Webtoon.
Wait, really?
Yes. Oath is done by the person who does Anti-Stalker.
Oh yeah.
And Play Dead is also done by the creator who does Face.
Then why did they? But they can't, can they? Because they have originals.
No, there's nothing in there that says they can't. Okay, so and Mary has also brought this up as well. Like, so because of the nature of how you are with most contests, most contests, right? People who already have an originals contract or are in the process of getting an original series done usually can't participate in those.
Yeah.
This one is different in that it did allow any series, regardless of whether you had a series already or not on originals, to do that. Okay. Now, with the perception of how originals is like the holy grail for a lot of people, and give other people a chance and stuff, it's that you start to get like entitlement comments thrown left and right. Do you want to I don't know, we've really talked, we've shadowed how the stuff is quite by a landslide, and I don't know, I still think that they really shouldn't have showed the vote counts.
You still think
they should have showed number of people voted? Yes, fine, but
okay. No, I don't even disagree with you, to be honest. I think I'm too busy thinking of how funny it kind of was. But you're right. I think you're totally right, because this is not because of the way Webtoon is showing votes on a specific comic will just steer people to voting more for that, because they're like, well, we might as well help them win. You're right. Actually, it kind of sucks.
Michi says they were banned from joining contests before because of existing fan base. Okay,
yeah.
If you want, if they want, right, to have a contest that allows originals people to take part in, I would say Reader's Choice Awards would be great. Okay, within the originals pool, not this where you dangle the offer of being featured, because this is going to create this whole whatever for people.
There's a lot of animosity, because people are just going to feel like, why am I even bothering when this isn't against him or anything, but when Merryweather will just show up and dominate the category I'm going for. Why bother entering anything?
Half the nominees aren't eligible. I don't know how they aren't eligible. Because it doesn't mean that just because you have an originals you're not eligible. But how are they ineligible? But don't want to be featured makes sense.
That's a lot of people. A lot of people.
Are they not eligible because they don't have as many panels, nominees to Tapas contracts? Yeah, that's a bit awkward.
I think my favorite one was I was talking to Soap, and I was like, "Are you gonna do it?" And then she's like, "No." I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that contract with this comic. The comic I like to draw for, I'm not gonna get into a crazy work contract for it. So
so the winning, let's talk about the winning prize quickly, because they say that the winner gets this series featured or the chance to pitch a series to be featured. Now that wording is very interesting, and that's got to do slightly with how Webtoons handles pitching for originals. For many people, their experience of getting into originals is you first post on Canvas, and you hope Senpai notices you. I'm sorry, yes, it is pretty much that. Yeah. And with your hard work and your sweat and tears, all your hopes and dreams, you hope the senpai notices you in the Canvas category, and someday you get that blessed email saying
you finally get that blessed email where Kenny comes in and he says to you in person, "I want your comic." Finally.
Or it could be Ethan LeBlanc.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
who does I the Grim Reaper? It's okay. It took Senpai 2 years, and so that's sort of like expectation, right? That is the default way. Although you now know now most people are aware that it's not always the case. But see how you get featured, like because Webtoon advertises that as like the main way to like get your comics up there for payment. Beyond just the advertiser revenue thing. That's why people like have all these misconceptions slightly. I don't even want to say it's misconceptions because it's not entirely wrong, but it's not the whole picture. Like they don't get the whole picture of like how this thing works.
Yeah.
So for our audience again, you can get noticed through Canvas, like publishing, with all your regular hard work, and Senpai notices you that way. You can get noticed by Senpai and other people out of the blue with a contest, which is where they start and usually this is where like you have to create something new, and if you already have an existing series, usually that doesn't qualify. And depending on how far in you are, some people end up reposting their series anyway, hoping for consideration that way.
Yeah.
Which is it raises eyebrows, but it is still considered pretty valid.
Yeah.
This is how it got her placement.
Honestly,
okay?
Deserved it.
Yes. The other ways include Webtoon has been known back when COVID was something that didn't exist to go to conventions and look for creators and ask them to pitch, or ask them to pitch, or like maybe someone had an existing series like in print and they're like, have you considered doing this for Webtoon? And these days they also get into production where they take an existing item of media, whether it's a book.
They've been doing that for like the past 2 or 3 years or so, right?
Crown of Feathers, Weight Above Sky, I think for the last 1 year-ish. Like I never heard of a webtoon producer until last year for Weight Above Sky. I believe that there are more of these webtoons.
I knew of the fact that they were reaching out to people who created like podcasts and stuff and artists at the same time. Due to they reached out to someone I knew a while ago. I think I mentioned this to create their comics. But I didn't know. But when that didn't pan out after like a year, I thought that was just like a one and done. But turns out like it might be if the one you just mentioned it just came out, then they might be bringing out more of those. Good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense.
Last way, by the way. There's one last way. Be an old dying man in the traditional comics industry who vaguely made something vaguely popular about 30 years ago, and then tell Webtoon you want money, and they'll find you and they'll give you the contract.
Well, is that what happened to like some people? I remember that before Tom Ackle got booted out,
I meant before Tom Ackle was gone. To be fair, but. I'm just being mean.
Okay. Let's dip back to the Canvas Awards. So those are ways of getting featured. And for all this time, like people would assume that it's a relatively high barrier if you are not prepared to put in that hard work. And there are other ways and means to increase your chances of getting them to notice you, or because it's sometimes really hard to figure out whether they are putting eyes on your work.
Yeah.
Other than, oh my god, the people of Webtoon Canvas or Webtoon are following me on Twitter or like Instagram. Yeah, so that's like maybe a slight inkling that you might have, but otherwise it's anyone's guess, really. So now, I mean, and you may be doing very well on like Canvas or whatever, and then you're still wondering why Senpai not noticing you. So then this whole thing, the readers having more influence in this way rather than just having Webtoon only, because people complain, oh my god, Webtoon's a criteria for judging contests was so not transparent, and the readers wanted this one, but why didn't this series get it? So now you have these Canvas awards where the readers play quite a part in the process. But I think, as we have discussed before, readers are not always the best.
I love
metric.
They're wonderful people. They're as thick as a brick sometimes.
I love it when readers, come to my work and try to like school me on something that I've had like the support of an actual mentor for. And when I
Exactly.
tell them no, it's fine, they tell me that I'm mansplaining to them.
Listen, you're right. You're right. You're right, Kaz. I mean, like, after all, don't we all want to be told what to do with the creative works that we have sunk our heart, blood, and soul into? I'm sure we all love that.
By a drive-by commenter, right?
Yeah,
Like who
it's
hasn't built up the rapport with us. Like,
great.
don't get me wrong. I think that feedback is as this like mansplaining accuser, like reader wants to read. But I think feedback is really important. Yes, it is. But are you giving feedback from a place of good faith? Are you giving that because you actually care, or was it you think you care? But again, we are digressing. It's clear that we have a lot of like rouses with the whole like how readers being part of the process,
Yeah.
being a major part of the process in this format has been like a bit there. Other than like like the step by step like system quote unquote they put out, like the end of it when they like allowed people to vote, like I'm still really hung up on the fact that they showcased the numbers. Like what?
I can't understand it either, to be honest. I mean, like when I again, before I was only thinking about how funny it was, but as you made the point, like I'm thinking about it more. You're kind of right. Like that just sucks. Why would you do? Why would you do that? It just makes like it makes people feel a little bit inferior. They have to look at the fact that they're losing. They know that they're losing. I don't. There's no good point. There's no good. There's nothing to be gained here, basically. Which is
Yeah, and it doesn't matter even if you like beat out like the other people in your category, like to go from top 50 to top 12, quote unquote. And because nomination pool of a pool of like readers being like the dedicated ones helps to weed out to make sure that the nominations aren't like of bad comics, because and I think that it worked because like the comics that I saw, at least visually, and when I had like the initial chance to like read through a few of them, were all pretty like they're not bad. Like visually pretty solid. Story wise, like didn't make me want to eat the comic right like after the first chapter. So that's a start. I sound so jaded. Like, oh my god, like at least you have this little garbage. I'm very sorry. This is what happens after you have been creating and editing other words for quite some time.
It wasn't bad, so you guys did fine. We all did good, kids. Let's be happy.
I want to encourage people because I know how much like effort it takes to like make something, and then also like I know like a couple of originals people have mentioned in the past, like there's the whole like Webtoons interviews with like with the originals creators. I think Rosen at one point was like, to be honest, I don't think it's good. Like I don't know why people read it, but I'm kind of grateful people do. So I'm like, well, yeah. So that's that. Well, but the whole like chance to pitch, right, makes it's almost as if like there is an out. There is an out for like if Webtoon declares that this person wins, but they don't necessarily like like the series.
Comic,
yeah, that is smart in one way, but also has the potential for them to like, if then the Webtoon can say that you have a chance to pitch, but then you never pitch it, like never pitch something that they're happy with, then what's gonna happen? Like, so that award was just for show, I guess. Then yeah.
Yes, Kaz. What do you mean? I love internet points. I want people to know that I am the best #comedy Webtoon creator. I don't need to make money from this. What do you mean, Kaz? Why are you trying to downgrade my award?
I have a lot of complicated feelings with regards to this sort of thing because with noting this, okay, so let's just jump. There's only like 3 weeks between votes ending and the announcement.
Yeah.
So that has to happen. So you might get like a delay in the announcement, just like they did with the short story contest. And unfortunately, I can't really 100% like reveal why that delay was the case. I know what the official reason they gave was that they were still processing like the like stuff, but yeah.
Very funny.
And obviously I have sadly signed an NDA, so while I can tell you a little bit of how things might go, like I cannot tell you up to a certain point.
But I have not signed an NDA, and as such I will tell you that like Webtoon is very, very big. That is my entire statement. Thank you.
I mean, it's not really. The staff team are quite small.
Yeah, you're right.
But what they're doing, they are punching above their weight.
Mm.
Yeah. So the announcements you see usually are people have already signed things before you can be part of the announcement. That's all I can say. Right. So if you've not signed anything, like yeah.
That's fine. No, it's fine. I get what you mean. Like, I think for me, generally with the contest, it's a weird. Okay, so a creator, right? The creator, feature creator, told me this week. They were like, that, yeah, they think the contest is a little bit weirdly done and a little bit kind of poorly organized, but like they think the like the heart is there, like it's. And they basically said they think the heart is there. It's good for people to even have that chance in the first place. And the main quote that ended up coming out at the end of that was, "It's better than Webtoon Greenlight," because Webtoon Greenlight is just like a bunch of Webtoon editors trying to get their work published by showcasing it and asking for votes, knowing very well that they'll get what they want. And like that sucks. But they think that the contest is at least, even if not very well organized, at least it's genuine. And that's more than that's good enough for them.
Genuine up to a point, like genuine, but at least potential for skew. So
like they acknowledge all the faults, but they're like, at least it's like there's some genuine love behind those comics to get voted, not like the Greenlight ones with their questionable dialogue and paneling sometimes that get voted.
Which is a shame because Greenlight, right, had some really nice like art.
Yeah, it did. All those poor artists drawing all that relatively weird, right? Having to typeset all that weird dialogue. Beautiful. Nothing more poignant.
Michi's right. Like, hiring staff is one thing. Like, but I can say that they have tried to hire like more like high profile like staff, like the staff have worked in high profile places. For all we know, this contest might have been a pitch by new staff. That's why it's weird. So you mean this readers contest? You see, the buck stops at the higher level of approval, and that has to go to like so. I mean, I have to say that to their credit, the Canvas team is now not just one person anymore. It's a Canvas team of three. And at least three, have been at least trying things. Canvas Corner was a decent idea. I think more could have been done with it. I question why their lettering is so bad because they have an internal style guide for lettering, and I tell you
that. There's rage in those words.
Well, the Webcomics Hubcast bingo. We can't take a shot every time Kaz like rages about lettering.
Yeah, I know, right?
We know nothing. Okay, so yeah, we know nothing about the internal hierarchy, and that is correct. Like, it's not the most transparent thing, and that has its benefits, but also its drawbacks. I mean, but we can have a guess based on like LinkedIn if you bother to look up at the titles that they have.
I think where I'm going with this Webtoon Canvas Awards thing is very simple. It's very flawed in so many easy to point out obvious ways that are hilarious. But I think they didn't. I think that the reason they did it was out of genuine want to just give the people who use their website all the time the shit that they want. Which, if you put it like that, it makes them seem a lot more endearing. And like, I'm not happy with the decisions they made, but I mean, it could have been worse.
People are trying to like hack it, like, figure out how, this whole like hashtag disruption thing when it comes to comics. Nobody has like a winning formula yet, because what's spearheaded by Webtoon or Naver in Korea, and that works there. It somehow hasn't worked out the same way here in the US and internationally.
I think it's
I mean, you say that you could assume that, but even though Webtoon like Naver is a huge platform in the Korea, it's not the same over here, and that's because Naver or Webtoon doesn't have that same brand recognition abroad.
Yeah.
Yes, use Line internationally, but people go like, "Oh my god, Line and Naver are from the same company? I did not know that." And excuse the people in the background. My mom is like diligently baking for us so that we do not go hungry for the week ahead. Quarantine cooking.
Michi says that what do you call it? That Indonesian Webtoon has been picking their webtoons with the popularity polls for a long time. That explains that, and that's probably why majority of them are romance and drama. And then she put an emoji. I don't know why I read that out. And Carolyn says the reader's opinions are sometimes greater than the creator's opinions, at least for this one. And yeah, and on some level, I mean, can you blame them? The people who literally sink at this point from the last investor poll that I read, which was the 2020 quarter two. You can literally download, like, Naver's a publicly traded company. You can download their documentation and stuff. You can read all their information if you just go to the website, and you can see all the money that Webtoon brings in, like itself as an organization, ever since it's gone away from being under a line. You can see like income, outcome, expenditure, subsidiaries that they bought, all that stuff. I read that every so often with a friend, and then we just kind of talk about stuff. That's also the reason why. Yeah.
Yeah, and please show me that sometime. But yeah, it's also the reason why.
It's also the reason why the Webtoon service thing is, and the service provider announcement change is all a topic. But I'll get to that later. But for a company, the company that makes at this point billions of won. Look at me being culturally respectful. They make a lot of that money now. A lot of that money comes from the US based Webtoon. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, surprisingly, it makes a lot of sense that they want to reach out to the people sinking money into them, and give them what they want to see. Because the more they give them what they want to see, the more those things will pan out for them. Well, look. This is one of the only times in this podcast that I am not the cynical one. And one of the only times I'm not the cynical one. And I'm going to ride this hill and just be straight up, I want to believe in them. Usually they disappoint the fuck out of me, And David, the CEO, the CCO of Webtoon, I know you're listening. Usually you disappoint me. But today I'm just going to be nice about it. Because you're definitely watching this. And
What? Really?
No, not really. If he was, though, it'd be very funny.
Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, we are two creators, airing out our grouses and how opinions and stuff. Mm-hmm. But no, in their defense, there is no proven track record within the US itself for any other platform.
They're basically experimenting every day. Every time they do something, they're experimenting.
They are that's why when you say they've got it figured out by now, they really don't, because I would wager that a lot of what they can do is also hamstrung by what HQ in Korea thinks is acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. It's just you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna combine the topic of the service provider with this. So the Webtoon service provider change. If you looked on the website at the bottom in the notice, they mentioned a service provider change. The last one was when they changed from Line Webtoon to Naver Webtoon, and now they're changing from Naver Webtoon to Webtoon Entertainment Group. The reason why that's important is because so originally being Line Webtoon, they were a subsidiary of Line, which means that not only is all of their funding and everything kind of filtered through Lines, whatever Line decides is good enough money to give them, whatever Line's given to give them is what they give them, right? It meant that they were kind of in a position where they weren't important enough to kind of stand on their own. They didn't have a lot of autonomy, right? Going to Naver Webtoon has taken them from a pet project by a subsidiary fucking around, right, to a project that can now affect their market, that affect them in the stock market. Right now, if Webtoon has a controversy, if we find out that the CEO of Webtoon Korea was caught in Operation U-Tree or something, right? It would affect their stock prices substantially, right? That's where it was at Naver. Now being Webtoon Entertainment Group, right? It kind of gives them a certain level of, it hopefully should give them a certain level of purchasing power, within the company, and also kind of mean that they might get more vertical resources and they might be allocated more money, allowed to spend a little more, allowed to invest in localized systems a little more. And if that happens, right, they might have, they might have a little more autonomy out here in the English speaking world of Webtoon, because that's kind of what the biggest drawback of their entire website, and I think the main reason why everything always looks a little bit shit and jank, is purely because they don't have autonomy. Like I'm usually pretty mean on them.
Yeah, so I have experience, like, I look at like the way that some Korean and Japanese websites are coded. I'm just like, what is this? Like, what is this UI?
It's good for their app based economies and the places where, like, people are more likely to sink money into apps. But over here, we are quality hogs. Like, you can run a streaming service in China that is basically white background text, and people would be like, yeah, it works, so I don't care. You can't run a streaming service like that here. Like, this is not saying that they'll just accept shit or anything. It's just like they have different priorities. As long as the app works and looks good there, they don't care. But here we care about the app, the web experience. We use both of them interchangeably. We're not a mobile only. We're not that much of the level of a mobile market where we're like all using our phones to access everything all the time. We use desktop too. The people who provide content and the people who read content have demands. Over there, as far as I'm aware, people who provide content are just happy they're getting paid. Like, they're not gonna fight for something they don't need. But here, we're like, Webtoon canvas creators are like fucking screaming down Webtoon's door because the scheduling app doesn't work very well.
I mean, fair play to creators, like, they can't or won't want to bother with all like the corporate like red tape shit, because why would you? I think I for one think it's useful to have at least some form of understanding, like, and understand it a little bit, because it sort of makes you like at least like you feel like you have like, okay, fine, there's only so much I can change, but doesn't mean that you have to give up. Yeah, continue to pressure them for like the things you want, because that's how that they can grow in like a direction that is actually going to be helpful to creators. But at the same time, like, it's not like we want to give them a pass, but it's sort of like helpful to like, why can't things work out the way they do? It's like the whole, it's sort of like in the same way that people who tell me, why can't I just like create a comic and then instantly I get money? Yeah. That, man.
Oh, we all dream of that moment, kid. I want that so bad.
Yeah, like, that's how they do it, right? How they advertise like those like people who like created a comic, one day and like posted, set the story free out in the world, and they got noticed and they got money.
Cries in Patreon.
Right. Okay.
Speaking of cries in Patreon, if you've got like $2, $3, maybe $4 spare. In fact, you know what? I'll lower the price for you, just from between me and you. If you got $2 spare, right? You can put two of those dollars on patreon.com/webcomics hub. And then I will take those $2 and I will use it to make this less jank. Sounds like a good deal, right? Yeah.
Make it scuffed. So, I'm sorry, it will not fix, the possibility of like fix the likelihood of like, Nen, like, making the titles wrong, but at least everything else would be left scuffed.
Out here, I'm the one who gets attacked. Why?
The young and true voice. Okay, so long story short, Requiem, you think they have this figured out by now? I don't think they have this figured out by now. Like, otherwise, like, it makes you wonder, like, why don't the bigwigs with all their money like have a way to, like, they have the money. I guess they just don't want to, like, pay into that sort of thing, like, and invest into that.
I think
otherwise
it's really but it's also really complicated, because the thing, and this is the thing. This is me using my computer science degree. Yes, degree. Finally, you're useful. So when you wanna make a website with certain features, maybe different or added features from a different one, because you're running a multinational or web organization, usually there are two ways of approaching the different website. There's the one way, which is what Webtoon currently does: run a shared mega server, and like, you know, kind of like the websites. The websites have all variations of the same thing with slight changes, and then you can kind of tweak some things, but not a lot. And then also, because it means that you only need to have one set of programmers, pretty much. You have one set of programmers. They do all the work, they do all the coding, back end, front end, and nothing will break, hopefully, right? Or you can do the Google way of doing things. So what Google tends to do is they literally have a different set of servers that run for each Google instance. So if you open google.com and google.co.uk, we are on two different servers. That means they basically had to recode their website for a different region. Now, in Google's case, they've got advanced tech. They probably use some fucking magic to do it super quickly. So whatever. But if you're a Webtoon, you're not a multi-billion-dollar organization. You can't fucking mobilize 1,000 new programmers tomorrow to program your new website. So like making a new website for the American section or the English-speaking section would essentially mean thinking that it's valuable enough to do the web development and add the features that the English-speaking section asks for. And that can be very expensive. So like, I can see why they won't do it. It also means you're sharding something away. You're kind of, for the first time, kind of cutting a branch off of the main tree, you know, and planting it somewhere else. And if you're a big multinational corporation, and you're from a country that's very conservative with how its companies operate, that can be terrifying.
Yeah, because what we see that Webtoon is still relatively new and almost startup-y in some way is connected to a company that is not. And this is why I feel like Tapas was such a missed opportunity.
Oh yeah,
but we also dislike Tapas because of, like, you know, what happened with one of the people there. So it is what it is. Also, what was that? It is what it is.
Help me.
Yes, I refer to Suya when pledging $10 to Webcomics Hubcast, and then Nen will pledge $2 to me.
It was a powerful move by her. It was a strong move.
Yeah. So like, this is where we're at. Canvas Awards. We're good. I mean, all A for effort. Yeah. D for execution, maybe. Like, I wanted to give a C because I don't want to like give it like a failing grade, because D and E are failing grades in my book. But
wow, Kaz, you are a harsh one. Just say that. D and E. Listen, Kaz, all right? An E is a pass in these United Kingdoms, all right? These United Kingdoms of England, Wales, the other one, and Northern Ireland.
Hey, I'm lowering my Asian standards, okay? Anything below an A is usually a fail, okay?
How dare you? What do you mean below an A? Yo! What is
this? Yes.
I feel so attacked. How do you get a B? I think of that dumb joke. How did you get a B? Are you a Bayesian? No, you're an Asian. Where's my A? My mom is like that with me all the time.
I hope, right, at the end of this, Webtoon actually properly like review what went wrong, because I can't even say like what went right per se. Okay,
I think a lot went right, to be honest. I mean, look.
Time frame, not so much. Yes. The use of rededicated readers to filter out the top 12 for category, yeah, probably. So, and I mean, I can say for sure though, like in terms of like Mary's case, but I can sort of understand, like, you know, people might, you know, kind of like see it as a little weird, but like, you already have like money and like so many features, like so many featured series. Okay, it's only 2, but why do you need another, like, you know, award and stuff? Like, let other people have the chance, and they are well within, they're valid for saying that.
No, at the same time, valid, yeah, but at the same time, Mary like, look. You might not agree with Mary's comic, and like, that's fine. Like, you know, whatever. I don't even want to bring up whatever opinions I have on this, but like, you cannot deny that it takes a lot of work to run the amount of stuff he does. Don't decry him winning because he won. Decry him winning because Webtoon didn't do their jobs. He didn't choose to win. Like, let's be fair here.
But he does like he does want like at least some form of like recognition awards wise. Okay, I know that. I know like the things like the Ringo Awards, I guess, and the Eisner Awards are a little bit more highbrow, and I don't agree that I don't agree that webtoons are too like peasant like to be considered by them, because otherwise why would Toasted Dude have gotten an award, and like why would like other other like series like Let's Play and stuff like that get nominated, and some of them win to a certain extent. So yeah, like I think it just depends. Like, but I think right. If you certain types of content are just easy to get overlooked for an award of some sort, and I think it's because of like the way that a lot of us have been brought up to, like if you don't like, it's the reverse of the you give me participation trophy, blah blah blah. It's like we do want to have some sort of stamp that's like on our works. Like I would not lie. Like I'm like, yeah, my short story webtoon won a freaking award, and I milk that shit.
Of course, you should. Okay, I'm still milking the fact that I got a check plus in nursery school on my spelling test. I'm riding that wave far and wide into the ocean, and if I'm gonna ride that wave, you should ride your wave. All right. And yes, nothing has been as powerful as me getting a check plus in my nursery school spelling test. Thank you.
I will be happy with a 4. I want a 4. Like, I'd be down for it if it was just front page exposure and meaningless title. Well, yeah, I suppose but I guess for some people who really want to make it as a creator, this feels like life and death for them. And
like, I think people forget the struggle of being at the bottom.
Well, and I think for these people, like, I appreciate that, but at the same time, I kind of wish they also were aware that there are other ways to like make money doing what you love, and it doesn't always have to be because you're paid to do your own series. Yes, there's some people who like do not want to do anything other than their own series. Fair play to them. But yeah, why do we live in a capitalistic society then? Like, why do we have?
Kaz, but we all know the solution to this problem. First, we need to seize the means of production. Then, that's the only solution.
Yeah, I'm salty for being nominated without my consent. Like, I think next time, we should have an opt-out function.
They should fucking ask you. That's rude as fuck. Not gonna lie. Because you've created expectations for my audience that are unreal. Like, I have to basically tell them that I'm not going to do something. And I know, like, Webtoon probably didn't consider, and they probably went in their heads, of course everyone wants to be featured. No, dude, you're just a means to an end for a lot of people. And, like, you should be willing to accept that. Ava's Demon, I think, is going to win her category. Ava's Demon most likely does not want to be on your shit schedule.
Yeah, like, see... we've had Soap in here last 2 weeks ago, the last show, to explain the craziness of the Webtoon schedule. And just for those people who don't remember it, it's 60 panels and above every week, or in Soap and Bobla's case, 30 panels twice a week. Yeah. And I can confirm that the schedule has gotten like a little bit like weird. That's probably why Unfins has extended his series length as well. Yeah. Like the chapter.
Oh, Michi laws. Michi, is it too short for you? Is it Michi is the master of panel output?
Yeah. I mean, people may have different like arrangements, like depending on whether you've been able to negotiate or not. But as is with the case in like a lot of in this like data driven economies and blah blah blah, like your time spent on the app is a valuable metric.
If you want to be stuck like 64 3/4 Michi working on a Webtoon comic for the rest of your life and not doing your own personal stuff, Featured is for you. Don't use Featured without your doctor's guidance. Thank you. Yeah. I need to make a Featured ad that is just like
you can't. I mean, if irritation occurs, I'm sorry, you cannot discontinue use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, things have changed from back when they were publishing, like republishing or syndicating like the 4-panel strips from other creators with I'm stubborn. Yeah, you can stubborn and solo everything. Yeah, Michi, I don't know how you do it. Like,
she's very powerful.
I guess see, this is the reason why like some series before they even launch or like they have a longer hiatus so that they can build buffer. Like, and buffer that is they do have a recommended amount of buffer if I'm not wrong. I can't remember how many episodes it is. I do know that there's another creator who is still trying to build more buffer than the recommended because they can't really draw like to the level of 1 episode a week. I am, and I knew at least two people who are like that. That's why they took so long to like publish on originals. Gee God, yeah. I mean, Kari and I, like, we have assistants for EXO. Okay, we have one, like the coloring assistant. Like it's flatting and initial shading, and then Kari has to do like the FX and stuff. And like I say I have complicated feelings because of my experience with EXO. I think if we had like we kept to like a very regular like every 1 week, every 2 weeks, we probably would have like gotten a lot further with it than we have right now. And if Kari dropped like the level of art that was on the comic, because like some, sadly to a certain extent, some readers don't care, but a lot of readers do. Like, they've come to expect the level that we've set for it. Except for like in a few chapters in the middle where like it was just like, screw it, I'm just going to like do flats and then like let like the auto stroke outside layer function like take care of the lines for me, and that kind of didn't work very well. Yeah, so we had that at a point. If we had pushed like that regularity, and by the grace of the almighty algorithm, we would probably have gotten more exposure than we do now, and people would be like,
very exposure powerful. If you finally had that Japanese manga artist assistant pool of like 10 people, like you see in all the anime, you'd be pumping out chapters left and right.
Yeah, see, manga has a really high production quality, and that is also what ends up killing the mangaka and their assistants a little bit.
I mean, we can say that about Hunter x Hunter for the rest of our lives.
Hiatus, and he's very particular with whether he gets that. Assistants are money. Yes, a good assistant is worth their money.
Yeah, you could be scummy though, and hire someone from Asia.
Yeah, well,
without any of the understanding of the group. A lot of people from the American side go, I'm gonna hire an Asian assistant that's very cheap, like extortionately cheap. Have you not seen that?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand because exchange rates are a thing, and we live in a capitalistic society.
Yeah, but they go for the super exchange cheap ones, Michi's right. It feels kind of wrong because you watch them, and I know one person who I do not speak to anymore, who literally went online to find a line assistant because they wanted to do pencils, and then someone else will line it and they can color, and they were paying this person at the point when I was speaking to them $8 to $10 a panel.
$8 to $10 a panel is ridiculous. And by the way, please slide into my DMs and let me know who that is later. Yeah, this is off air. Kaz and Nen just trade tea all the time.
Oh, sweet.
when Nen is not sending me weird weird memes or really weird typos, then yes, we are trading tea.
Yeah. Why do you tell people the things weird? Mom!
They are endearingly weird, okay? Is that better for you?
Fine.
I mean, I respect the hustle. I respect the hustle for a lot of people. And it's not perfect, but I can't wait to see how Webtoon is going to try and deal with this now that the votes are already in, and people are going to have expectations. And at the same time, I think it's worth remembering that only a certain percentage of people are going to actually vocalize their thoughts. Everyone else is just silently they'll either vote or not vote, or they'll have browsers or not. So
I voted with utmost attention. In some cases I voted for the memes.
Yeah.
I'm a very powerful member of the community. I voted for the memes. No, but I know what you mean. You're right. You're right. It's gonna be a bit of a shit show as they try to corral this. But again, I have for the first time the most hope to them, the most hope in them that I've ever had before. That they're probably gonna try and do it right. That's it. I'm so surprised at myself because honestly, I opened this podcast thinking I was going to be really cynical about this. And then when it really came up, my brain went, actually, no, they're not that bad.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wild.
I mean,
out. Jesus.
Again, not everyone has figured it out. And it's going to take a while for that too. Who knows, man? But yeah, that was our extensive bitch fest, which has taken half of our usual allotted time slot regarding the Canvas Awards.
Yeah, we also did manage to talk about the Webtoon server provider change, so we did two topics. Just take the award, like my check plus. We'll just take it. We'll ride that wave for the rest of our lives. We should get to. You there, Cats?
Yes, I am around. Yeah, we should get to the next.
Sorry, my brain. Okay, I thought you just left. We should get to the Webtoon Studios. Either do you want to do Webtoon Studios and Sweet Home, or do you want to do 616?
I'm not really. I'll just provide the context of this whole Webtoon Studios thing. So for the longest time, Webtoon has been touting that with a series on featured, you can excuse me, sorry. Sorry, I was my mom was just telling Jerry my brother something. So with Webtoon has been harping on the fact that with your series feature, we actually have the opportunity to do tie-ups and adaptations and blah blah blah. And back then, when we were first starting out the podcast, we were but why isn't Webtoon tying up with Netflix and stuff like that? It's taken them a while. And finally it's happened.
Yeah. Finally, we literally said it. We called it. We are the predictors of the future. Thank you. You're welcome, kids. Yeah. All of you out there are welcome for our powerful abilities to see the future.
Jeez, man.
I know you're all jealous. I know you all want to know how we have these abilities, but I can't tell you because of the code. Whatever that means. Yeah.
Oh, hey friends, welcome aboard. So I think you might be new here. I don't know.
No, Fernie's from YouTube.
Oh, Fernie's from YouTube?
Yeah.
Then didn't say you true power? Okay.
This is my true power. My ability to see the future.
Your ability to that's true.
Oh my I think God. No, you don't even support me when I'm trying to bullshit in a glamorous way.
Hey. I'm calling it what it is. I am not saying that I disagree with it. I just changed the switch. Okay, yeah. How good to have you here, friends. So I guess finally they've gonna set up a production arm and stuff. Now I really wonder what plans they have, because so far what's been announced is Lore Olympus getting an adaptation with the Jim Henson Company.
Yeah.
I know for some people they're wish we would have had a live action, because that would have sort of cemented its quote unquote validity, because yes, there is unfortunately still a stigma when it comes to cartoons. But with the way the art style is on Lore Olympus, I think an animation is just best suited for that. And kids, adults, animation is no less valid a medium. Okay, it's not just for a younger age group.
Yes, he says, knowing very well that all he watches is Cartoon Network.
Do you actually?
I used to when I had cable. There's nothing interesting on reality TV, so.
Now just take a look at the Webtoon Studios.
I'm gonna say something really fucking harsh, I guess. The Webtoon Studios website is honestly, it's better. It's so much better looking than the actual Webtoon website, and I feel sort of bad saying that because, it's not that they're trying, right? This website looks like it was not half-assed in the slightest. If I just can get the visual up. This website looks like it was not even vaguely half-assed, right? It's
Yeah.
everything. Like
It's got what?
it's got a nice drop down. It's got a nice clickable setup. It's got a wonderful menu. People can only see like about 30% of the screen. But look at the animation work. Imagine if the main site looked like this.
I wonder if it might be too distracting, but at the same time, like it is quite flashy. Then you can see like the difference in design with like Silicon Valley sensibilities versus like Korean like boomer internet sensibilities. Yeah. Yes, I am going to call it boomer internet.
It is boomer internet sensibilities. You're not even wrong. You're not even wrong.
I wonder, with the titles they've chosen to feature in this like thing, if they are actually the only titles that they're actively in the works of trying to adapt for other things, or if they just like willy-nilly picked a couple of titles or whatever.
This is okay. While a lot of people are going to say, and they're not wrong really, a lot of people are going to say that it is an investor tie-in website to make investors feel comfortable with whatever, because they literally put this out and as the entry into the third quarter of the year started. It looks like a move just to make investors happy, but it also like I think it's also like a genuine showcase of, hey, we've pitched all these things to different whatever services or whatever, so it's only a matter of time till they have an adaptation of some sort. So whatever the adaptation is fluid. The Assassination webtoon, wait, is that on here? Oh, Assassination Roommate. It might have been Roommate. It might have been canceled. I think it is canceled, but it wouldn't be strange for them to put it on here if they still have, because they still have some of the rights for it. I think they still have the digital distribution.
Cancel. I guess I think what was it like? She had to stop it. Like I don't know whether it was actually canceled or like she couldn't continue on it. Like canceled because of them or canceled because of her.
That's the question. But they do still have the right to like put out interesting content around it or whatever, because they still have a bunch of digital distribution rights, and I think they still have some IP rights that they for that, so wouldn't be strange.
Yeah, they don't immediately like give up those rights the minute a series ends, like whether it's cancellation or not.
Yeah, you're right. But I'm looking forward to what they make. I'm glad like Webtoon Studios is interesting. I quite like Sweet Home Netflix. I watched the trailer last night. I watched the trailer this morning again to refresh myself on it. I can see it being an interesting show. I'm not even gonna like, what's happening today? Why am I being so positive? It's weird. Anyway, I can see it being a really interesting show. I can see Webtoon making some really interesting stuff. They have blundered. My hope is probably too high, especially I think especially after the YouTube animations for not Fishball, My Giant Nerd Boyfriend, which they really owe her an apology for that, in my opinion. They owe her a big apology for that. The My Giant Nerd Boyfriend animation that they put on YouTube that were
it was so like mad. I think the pacing of that was bad. Like the Let's Play one was a bit better.
They were a little bit better, but like I feel like they owe both of them an apology for that, to be quite honest. And they should probably give them a better adaptation than that. But otherwise, I think that like they could go forward to make more interesting shows. The Sweet Home Netflix thing, I looked up all the names of all the people in it. It's all a bunch of Korean. I couldn't read freaking anything. Be honest with you, I should have texted you. But it seems like they're well known. There's a lot of Google search results for literally like at least the director and some of the actors. So I'm assuming that they're well known and they're prominent-ish. So we can only hope for good things, right? We can only hope for good things.
Yeah.
He sits here knowing very well.
Again, fair play that they are trying. Like, and even if they like fall flat on their face, it's a move for other competitors. Maybe like do what they do but better.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like holy shit, I would love to go into producing someday. Like it's so that because I just find it fun because you get to like work with other people to like make something that's even more like bombastic.
It's a lot of like there's a lot that goes into creating any adaptation based work. in any film work, and it's a lot of work. It's very stressful. It will probably make you feel like crap, but the ending is really good. That's where all of it's gonna come in. The end's gonna kind of tie everything together and make you feel like you know, I don't know. Just I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm glad that they're putting this much effort into it. Yeah. Also, if you want to see something that the director of the Sweet Home has made, seems to be something really popular that he worked on. It's called Mr. Sunshine. It's a Korean TV drama. He worked on Mr. Sunshine. I think it's a TV drama or it's a movie or something. It's a period drama thing. It's kind of interesting looking. It's got a high rating on IMDb. So if you want to, like, you know, vet him for yourself, look up Mr. Sunshine and watch it legally or otherwise.
Okay.
Can't say illegally because it makes me sound bad.
Right. Is that what we've covered for like the studios?
It's kind of all the studio stuff. Yeah, that's all the studio stuff.
Yeah, like again, it's watch this space.
Yeah.
I think it's good that they finally made progress. And they know the partners that they have.
Yeah.
The partners that they have, like Rooster Teeth's involved in it, so like
Yeah.
it makes you wonder. Like,
I mean, it makes me hope for good things and also worry about bad things because I'm a fan of Ruby. And as someone who is a fan of Ruby, I know very well that Rooster Teeth can really put out some garbage. So I'm a little worried. I hope Rooster Teeth does not fuck this up, quite honestly, because this is kind of
some people don't. I kind of hope that people don't always judge like places by the worst things that they put out.
You're right, but the thing is, the worst thing they've put out is the most prominent thing they've put out. So it's kind of hard to not do it.
But isn't it prominent because it's bad though? Like, it also just because
it was kind of good. I mean, yeah, it was kind of good. Also, it's old. That's the thing. It's very old. Like, people underestimate how much prominence comes from just making the same thing for decades. You know, for over a decade at this point. It's prominent because it was kind of interesting. Depends. This was the most latest thing this is also the latest thing they've put out. So there could have been a lot of growth that Ruby did not allow them to have because, you know, it's got such a fixed universe. And now they have something to work with and play with and be interesting with. So I'm sure there can be something good out of that. I hope they do something good out of that. But yeah, you know, watch this space, as you said. Now, last two, which one do you want to do? 616 or do you want to do 4 exposure? I think we should put 4 exposure at the end.
4 exposure at the end, yes. 616. Now, disclosure, I have read like comments first because I am trying to wait till like a good point to like watch the documentary. So big ups to Nan. I provide the context. Like there was a documentary like, you know, featuring Marvel creators and like, you know, the process that they go through to produce a comic. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's good. It's fun. Comic Twitter was, you know, had a lot to say. Good sir, good ma'am, good rainbow peg.
Good rainbow peg, good day, sir. What is the 616 you speak of? We speak of the 616 of Marvel fame, my dear friend. It is a documentary that Marvel made for themselves, about comic creation. I think I did a pretty good old white man voice there. It's okay. I watched, as Cass said, it's, you know, she's getting to watch it. It is a Marvel documentary about Marvel creation, about Marvel's comic creation, and I watched.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit beforehand. The Marvel method isn't just like they named a documentary. Like, it's worth noting that the Marvel method is actually a production pipeline as well.
Yeah, it is.
I'll provide a quick like background. So obviously, like as his work got popular, like Stan Lee became like too busy to write full scripts for every comic. Mm-hmm. So his method was he meets with one of the artists, gives an overall summary of what he wants to happen. The artist will take the story, draw the comic however they want, as long as it follows the overall plot. Mm-hmm. Then they'll leave little notes to let the Stan Lee know what's actually happened in each panel. So he will get the comic back and he'll put in dialogue based on the art and the artist notes. And he also pencils in, like, you know, the FX, onomatopoeias, all that. And he said that he likes this because in this way, he gets introduced to the artist's ideas, and usually they never thought of before. So, and for its time, it was extremely successful, and some of the comics published that were considered the best ones. But other comic companies usually do write first, then you do the art based on the writing. So Stan Lee essentially did flip that around, which is, I think it's probably surprising for most people to realize that.
But I think what's important about it as well is it worked because, and look, you can have an opinion of Stan Lee for whatever reason, but you can't deny that the man was worked hard as hell. And like, I think the reason why it worked at all was because he would work with the artists long hours, trying to get this comic down after their ideas were introduced to him. It wasn't just like a introduce idea and walk away thing, I think that's why they were some of the best, because it was, not only was it a truly collaborative experience of writing, it was a truly collaborative experience even when it came to like creative ideas being shared. It's almost like how you make webcomics now, except like with less script writing.
Except nowadays, Marvel no longer really does this because, I mean, for one, Stan Lee is, God rest his soul, is 6 feet under. Secondly, like, I think more conventional people are they're not as good like with this sort of method. Like, they kind of need to plot everything out. I will gladly admit that I am more of a plotter. Like, I prefer to have like dialogue beats in my head and like also on the page, and then like let Kari like handle some of it. But I will not deny the like, I have also like I've also like had experience with like where you sort of have a loose outline and then like you then plot then you like draw things out. So we've come sort of close to that before, but not entirely. Because I think it requires you to like let go so much and trust that the artist knows how to like pace, but even like they have a general idea of like what processes are happening, but not
when everyone's very experienced, basically. Yeah.
In a way, yeah, because like say I want a very important bit of exposition, right? Like, I probably, if using the Marvel method, I probably could be like, okay, so this happens. Like, I don't care whatever that dialogue is until like later, but I do want at least this one line to be in there, and the artist then decides on that. Yeah, you probably could do that. Yeah. But okay, so what happens in the rest of the documentary then?
All right. I think the only way I can do this is through the method of tweet. So this is Matt Sibley, who I'm actually going to put his name here because not only was he the one to actually make collate this entire thing, he's also kind of funny. So Matt Sibley watched the show. He does a really good job of taking a lot of screenshots from it. And in the Marvel method, every other episode of the show is actually pretty good. You learn a lot about the comic creation. You learn a lot about the comics ideas that were worked on and never gone through with. You learn about Japanese Spider-Man, which you should like Japanese Spider-Man. I did not watch it through, as the kids would say, legal means. So I actually don't know where it is. But he went on to watch the 616 doc, and he got to the episode. The what you call it, the Marvel method, and he kind of goes down. And in the documentary, they chose someone called I don't remember his full name, Dan Dalot. I think his name is Dan Dalot. Dan Dalot is notorious in the industry. Dan Slott. That's why. Yeah, sorry, Dalot. Yeah, Dan Slott. He's notorious in the industry for never making his fucking deadlines. He takes forever to write. And I think it's really emblematic because it's in this first tweet. You've written comics for almost 30 years. You can do it. Twitter alert. Oh, a tweet. And he drops everything. This is the middle of the documentary. Remember, they made this to look good. And like, it kind of goes on like this. Now, I watched the whole thing. This is part of the episode. I think there's a couple other things that go on in there, but like, it's just me getting very mad at this one man. Honestly, that was how I felt when I got to this episode. It was just me getting very upset at Dan Slott, and like, The reason why the Marvel method is kind of a problem for me, you can go read the whole tweet yourself if you want to. We're not going to waste everyone's time by showcasing the whole thing here. But the reason why the Marvel method kind of gets me a little bit. Oh, sorry. You have the link, don't you?
No. I mean, no. I'll restream chat, bro.
Oh yeah, I just the internet hates me today. It happened, and I just went, okay, I'm not gonna get mad about it.
But yeah, that episode, right? Okay, so from what I remember seeing of that, like, I can't help but like figure like whether they kind of edited it to create more attention to, because that is very par for the course for this sort of thing.
No, I understand.
Like
maybe
it might just be an actual like everyday kind of like the odd like stresses here and there with a regular issue. Like it's not particularly like special, but at the same time, like because you want to like showcase tension, you edit that.
Yeah, I think that was part of the thing, that there is obviously some editing magic, so to speak, in there, kind of making it look that way, kind of making it come across that way. But I don't. Okay, while the editing magic is there to make things make things a lot more tense, make things feel a lot more weird. Dan Slott is notorious in the industry for this problem. He is known for missing deadlines. He's known for wasting basically entire sections of production time on writing. He is known for not having everything put together by the time they need it to be. And it's like, it comes off to me a little bit like this. Like, Marvel is a big comic company. Why have they chosen to work with this old dinosaur who clearly does not respect their time, right? In an environment where it wouldn't be an understatement to say thousands of young creators of all types want to be the one making the things, I don't think that'd be an unfair statement to say. Thousands of young creators want to be making comics, want to be working for Marvel, and Marvel will choose him, who is basically fucking up their time.
I guess, if you're I hate the word aspiring for this say, but if you're sort of aspiring to get into like big two and you see this, then you'll be like, you get mad because like, hey, why are we still having this, rather than like, other upstarters like myself and like we build the time and all that. This is from the perspective of someone like that. So the thing is, right, so I was reading a summary of it. I'm not sure if this is correct, but you have to let me know. Like, so Dan Slott, like, again, like, he misses deadline in this episode.
Yeah.
So like the artist gets like a detailed panel description thing rather than with but then the letterer is struggling because obviously there's no script, so how can he letter what's his comic?
And he pretty much gets Chris Gage, the current Iron Man writer, who's actually pretty good. Chris Gage is pretty good. They pretty much get Chris Gage to help him meet his deadlines. So they hire a second writer, essentially, to help him write his own story and get dialogue done, and stuff like that. And it's all played for laughs. The artist is literally struggling, which, like, I think the saddest moment for me is I'm watching and the artist goes, by the time I get the script from Dan, it's usually about 2 days before the book has to go to press, right? I'm always sending a text. I'm always emailing. I'm begging. I'm pleading. So I'm not the artist, the letterer. I'm begging. I'm pleading. I need a script. Somebody send me a script. And like, we're all gonna.
Okay, so I can mention something about this part of the process, okay? Because surprise, I actually letter. Whenever publishing deadline is around, like they will budge for the writer, they will budge for the artist. Like artist, they will never budge for the letterer.
They won't, because he's not like
the letterer.
Yeah. They don't consider a letterer to be that important, so they will not budge for the letterer.
And in a lot of cases, I know letterers have been known to be working on like because they can't, like they need like to just do placements anyway, but they don't have the finished art, so the letterer will just be working on like over pencils or over inks, like they'll format the page or whatever, and then like they'll put the balloons there, so and then hope that by the time they receive the final file with the art, they can just like merge everything on top. And this is also a lot of issues because sometimes the letterer will be working on a page that's pencil or inked to the right resolution, and then the colorist or whoever in the process f's that thing up. So by the time they get back the right file, the file later on the process, the resolution's all gimped, and the letterer is usually the one who spends time fixing that bullshit.
It's a lot of like and the thing is he's doing okay. The letterer will be doing this basically like last minute, pushing themselves overnight or whatever for this to be done. And I think what really got me when I was watching it was when not Dan, Dan's editor, I've forgotten his name already. I'm sorry.
Alana, was it? I can't remember.
I think it was Alana. But the guy is like talking to Dan and they're laughing, and I maybe this is just played for jokes, but he goes, you've just finished, that's one issue done. We need to do 5 more of these, and we don't have any more lead time. Lead time is basically like your production time. It's when you would be like all the pencils. Yeah, all the pencils would be done. Maybe like a bunch of work would be done for the entire like limited issue run, if it's a limited issue run, right? That like you wouldn't even be by the time the first issue is coming out, everything's kind of on the just kind of getting over with. So Dan basically wasted time that most people would use to finish a 6-issue limited run to do 1 issue. I don't. What the fuck do I say to that? Like, like cool. You wrote whatever. Like, and it's just. I guess for me, it's the same thing. Whether or not this is a bit of an exaggeration, this is a company-sanctioned documentary, right? A higher up in Marvel watched this fucking thing. They watched this fucking thing and they said yes, print, post, right? And in it, we watch Dan Slott show us that the traditional comics industry does not fucking want any of us. It does not. Because he would rather have an old, white, fucking dying man who will waste their time than any young person who's willing to literally haul ass through the desert for their comics. Like, this is an industry that treats every young comic creator like shit. So I don't fucking understand this behavior at all. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So what stood out for me was the tweet by the letterer. Okay, say if my part of the Marvel method process gave you anxiety, imagine if they hadn't cut the story I told about lettering an issue in the delivery room while my wife was in labor.
It was wild. And then they talked about there was another guy in the comments who was like, yeah, I had to letter an issue during my grandmother's funeral. Like,
yes.
Come the fuck on. What do I say to that? What does anyone say to that shit, dude? Like, what do you say? And like,
Joe in the comments said like, we can't give up money that we're expecting to get that month. Like, I don't like being the reason the book ships late, and I don't want to cause any headaches for my employers. That's what freelance is. And Joe said this wasn't the first time that he had lettered an issue from a hospital room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, it's wild. It is wild to me. And like I say it again, look, all right, I'm going to say this one. I said this one like maybe a year ago, and I'm saying it again. If you think that you want to be a comic creator, look at the comics industry, the mainstream comics industry, and spit on their corpse and walk all over it and go find fucking someone else. They're not worth your time, to be honest. They're not.
I'm checking to the Joe Caramagna tweet thread again, and someone said, have you considered the problem might be capitalism? We have addressed that before. And he said that, I still love what I do. Yeah, sometimes the job requires sacrifices and throws me into high pressure situations. And that's not for everyone, but because I've been able to work from home and watch my kids grow up, it's been good to me. And he has a point. Like, I'm going to a position where like in the future, like I'm actually going to be able to find time to cook and clean at home too, alongside doing my creative work. I don't have to worry about commutes. I don't have to worry about taking leave, quote unquote, if I want to go on a holiday, recharge.
Yeah.
It's great, and I also get to be around like No more.
I know. I think those freedoms are great, and I'm glad. I'm very glad that he gets those freedoms. I just don't think that, like, I think that regardless of those freedoms, he should never have been in any of those situations ever in his life. Those should not be a thing he worries about. He shouldn't sit down last minute on a Thursday evening and go, ah, shit, the book ships tomorrow, and I basically have to do what should be a week's worth of work in like 10 hours. Like, he shouldn't feel like that. He shouldn't feel, because that's dread. I don't like, you know that dread when, like, you're going to get work, but it's just not shown up, and you know that the longer it takes, the more likely you are going to be pulling an all-nighter. Like,
yeah,
it's not fair.
And in Joe's defense, the other time he did lettered the book from the hospital was because, like, he was trying to keep busy when his daughter had something, like had something, and the editor was also like the editor was also like, yeah, you should go and like stop and like take a break, but I wanted to occupy myself, so yeah.
Like, I understand. I think I understand the stress. I understand where he's at. I just feel like, God, it's weird.
Sometimes deadlines. So in this industry, deadlines don't wait for people, unfortunately. And if your partner goes into labor, or you go into labor, because women in comics, if you go into labor and you have a deadline, like, it's slightly tough shit. It's tough shit. You can't like. You can't exactly, like, for some cases, like, oh, I am probably going to be due in this month, so I don't want to schedule anything. Like, if you can afford to do that, wow, that's some king shit. Yeah. If you can't afford to do that, you're pretty much scheduling up until the baby arrives, and you're like, oh, damn. And sometimes, early labor is a thing. Like, you don't know when you're going to go into labor.
So basically, randomly you go into labor, and like, if you're scheduled and you don't do it, guess who just got a random hospital bill they can't pay this month? Yay!
Yeah. You could always get someone to sub it for you, but they also have to, like, be briefed up to date, like, with what's going on.
So regardless, it's kind of a shit show situation.
Labor aside, there's also funerals. Like, sometimes you can't predict when someone's gonna die, right?
Like,
and then you have to, like, letter a book for the funeral.
That's just wild to me. Like, I know for a lot of creators who are featured now, or who work with someone or work for money, like, that schedule, that doesn't sound crazy, because you work in a situation where you have so much to do already that you feel like that's a possible thing you end in. But like
the dogs
we almost made it for that one. No, but like, kind of get yourself out of that headspace where you're thinking about your schedule and how your schedule is, and think about the fact that, like, you kind of have some control over your schedule entirely, in a way, because you've got a bit of a buffer, you've got some things to kind of fall back on. But, like, think of it more like, imagine if your next episode of your webtoon was due tomorrow, and you had not done any of the lettering, any of the effects, any of and some of the paneling, and it's due tomorrow. And if you don't put it up tomorrow, you have no upload, and you're on a contract with Webtoon. Just imagine that situation you're in right now. Tell me how terrifying that is to you.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Comics hard. Like, I still love it. I do it. Like, and even if I wasn't doing comics, I'd be doing something related to comics. Like, I already am doing some things that utilize my comic production experience.
Yeah.
To, like, creatively. It's great, but sometimes they're like, and the letterer being the last mile person, oh my god, like, I kind of get heebie-jeebies thinking about it.
It is kind of sad. I feel really bad for the guy. I hope he's okay. I hope if they fire him, I swear to God, like, that's. No, they won't. I'm just saying, if they randomly do a downsizing and he has to go, that would be an insult to that man and the shit that they've made him go through.
It's freelance though.
Yeah, but they could downsize and be like, "Yo, we're not hiring you anymore. We've just hired an in-house guy, and we're gonna make him do everything."
I don't know. That's not how downsizing works, but that's fair.
I mean, yeah, it depends, doesn't it? Like, sometimes doesn't downsizing mean hiring someone full time, but one person, and then cutting a bunch of other people?
Well, I mean, why would they want to hire someone full time and cut a bunch of other people when they could hire a freelancer all the time and cut a bunch of other people.
That's because you can hire a college grad and pay him $20,000 a year and give him the work for 10 people.
Or maybe you could just hire a freelance college grad, like, for that.
Oh yeah, good point.
But yeah,
you could hire a freelance college grad, but I completely forgot that they do that.
You see, freelance, right?
Yeah.
Is the benefit of paying a freelance contractor is that you don't have to pay benefits.
Yeah. Shit, benefits. I completely forgot about benefits. That's where I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a job with benefits in a while.
Oh yeah, and meanwhile, Moso Box from Canadian land, you know, and all about them benefits. You just came in at the right time. But yeah, that's pretty much what we have to say about that. Like, it's a ride and a half. That documentary apparently is a ride and a half. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch it, and then maybe in another episode I might like casually say, okay, yeah, it's been edited to high hell and back. But
all the initial episodes, the first couple of episodes, are honestly great. Like, I don't know, I felt like a kid watching a lot of them. Japanese Spider-Man especially kind of got me. I don't know why. I think it was nice. I think maybe because it was one of the first ones I looked at. And it was kind of exciting. I felt like a kid learning about like how the sausage is made, and it was nice. And then you get to the one that really got me, and I guess and I'll be honest with you, I turned off my brain for a lot of it because I was kind of expecting the Marvel method one the most, you know. I turned off my brain for most of it just so that I could kind of enjoy it without thinking about what they were really saying. And I wanted the Marvel method one to come in because I wanted to like see them say it and not feel like I just saw it on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, there was something I was missing. There really wasn't. They said
I want to watch it for myself, and I think maybe I'm gonna say put my bet on the fact that editing was what made it seem. Yes, but at the same time, it does sound like if they thought that this was going to like. I mean, I appreciate this sort of thing being done because not a lot of people know how the comics like process works. There are interviews about it. There are like books written about it. Like, but it's still I think, but it's not one of those things. Oh, it's just like just look at that and just been and done. I think every now and again something should like it should be like behind the scenes every now and again. And I think and I think that's why I like people who stream because like they kind of give a peek into the process, but. Usually the most visible part of that is the art process though. Like, oh, I'm drawing a comic on stream today. So yeah, you see that.
Yeah, you're right. I see you.
But yeah, the price not so much. But that might change. You don't know. We don't know. But yeah. Do we move on to For Exposure? What's that's our last topic for this show. Like what exactly happened in For Exposure? So who knows what For Exposure is?
Who knows For Exposure? Who knows the For Exposure Twitter account? I hope you all know it. If you don't, it's a Twitter account that literally tweets cropped instances of this is cropped and no one's data is leaked or information is leaked of people
choosing beggars.
Of people basically reaching out to artists or creators of any kind and going, hey, make this for me and I'll pay you an exposure.
Or being really incensed at the idea of payment when it is brought up.
Yeah, that one too. It's run by a really cool guy. I forgot his name, but I follow him on Twitter. He's nice as hell, and he tweets about his own comic. Anyway, so recently,
Ryan Estrada. Yeah, so he's based in Korea, has a wife in Korea, and
he's really cool. Estrada, really cool guy. But what's interesting about it is like, so running For Exposure, he tweets out a lot of these tweets, and sometimes they're like, it does all of these tweets of people being weird about payment to creators, and sometimes it's easy to know who that is. In the most recent tweet, he found like people found out exactly who was asking for creative work for exposure dollars. One of his more recent ones, sorry, and who was being asked for things in exchange for exposure dollars, and they were literally pinging the guy, and they were sharing his social media details in his comments. Now, I'm just gonna start with this. That's harassment, and that's not okay. That mob mentality stuff is not okay. But it did raise the question that I thought I should ask in a more public forum. Do you think that it's okay for us to name and shame people who approach artists to do work for exposure?
I don't think public naming is usually the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would I mean, it's okay, I think, for people to mention like, okay, this experience happened to me. Like if you ever like get something like that, you can DM me to check out who it is and stuff like that. Whisper networks are a thing, you see, and comment like on Discord or whatever creative communities that I'm in. Like every now and again we do like this whole like warning people about like this maybe scammers or bad client potential and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think it's good that we should warn people about scammers and people like that. Most of it, I'm just giving them exposure, right? Cheese coming on this with no such thing as bad publicity. I mean, you've got a point, Cheese. Like, it could, if the person is anyway discerning, they could use the attention I've sent to them to get more popular, and that might not be a good thing to make some awful person popular. And then Suya goes with, I think there's also a difference between naming and shaming some random dumb kid versus a person with power. And 67 and 3/8 Michi says, sometimes it's good to put a jackass on the block list and save people.
Why are you laughing?
I just thought it was really funny that she's like her first mentality was, yeah, we're gonna add him to the group block list, block him, done. And I just thought, I don't know, that just made me laugh.
Okay, so there's a difference between naming and shaming some random dumb kid. Okay, with a dumb kid, that's the issue, isn't it? Like someone young who's like asking for things, and then like they probably approach the wrong person then. Yeah. And yeah, sometimes they have to learn. Sometimes they end up learning it the hard way because as a kid because of Twitter, any dog or or kid or like amoeba can directly like get in touch with some big name like professional, and that, so it's good and bad, right? To have that like gap closing, and because of that, like professionals spend more time fielding like BS from the audience than they would have to if they only take like well thought out emails. You see, even people still send abuse via email anyway, so it is fine.
And it's wild. I guess it's wild. Let's see. What does someone think? I mean, it definitely isn't ideal for them. At the same time, it would be nice to know the type of person I'm working with. Not to mention, it shouldn't really stop you from working with them as long as you get the money because the deal. Okay, I see you there. And Crate says, how do you feel about businesses naming and shaming high-profile influencers who reach out to ask for free stuff in exchange for reviews? Honestly, like I think I'm on the side of Suya with the it's when it's a high-profile person, right? When it's a person with power. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
well, I'm on the opinion with Suya with when it's a person with power, it's fair game. It's fair game, honestly. They have the money and power to not do that. I didn't offer them a free one because this is the thing. I think a lot about this from Linus Tech Tips because I watch a lot of his content, and it's like the first thing he does when he wants something that wasn't offered to him is he offers to pay for it.
Yeah,
because he has the money to pay for it. And whatever ad he's gonna give them, unless the person chooses to work out a deal and say, okay, you know what, I think free is good, I can work with free. But he offers to pay, the offer is there. If you approach him and you go, oh, I would like it for free, but if you're not willing to give it to me for free, I'm also very willing to pay for it. I really want this product. That's one thing. If you show up to someone and you're like, give me free stuff, you're just begging. Yeah. Well, you don't need to. What the fuck?
So my thought on that, right? And I have actually addressed this on an episode before. Some of you might remember, but I'll say it again. If they are offering to pay you an exposure because they can't afford you, usually it means they do not have the exposure to make it worth your investment.
You have said this, yes.
And you are pretty much being asked to sacrifice for them. That is not great. If they do have the exposure that can pay you, they usually have the money to pay you. So why aren't they paying?
That's actually a very good point. You have the money. Why aren't you paying? Why isn't that your first instinct? Like, I think one of the ones I saw, the funniest one on the For Exposure Twitter was the question of, Was someone saying, "Oh, I want to work on a comic with you or something or an illustration," and then the artist in question went, "Oh, how much are you gonna pay?" He says, "I can't pay you. I'm poor." And I'm like, "I'm poor too." And then the artist is like, "I'm poor too." Remember, the creators that you're going to don't have a lot either to just toss away what could be hours of their life on something for you. But we're kind of pulling away from the topic. We're kind of pulling away from the topic. It's just like, should we name and shame some people ask stuff for exposure?
I mean, I know people are kind of feeling bad about cancel culture in this day and age, and yes, it is scary. But I mean, like I said, depends on if they're a person in power or not. But even with a person in power, it's like sometimes I think about this every now and again. Like, do they really not have like access to like knowing that bit of information? Like, how are they able to think that because I'm in power, like, it's a, do you know who I am? Now give me shit. I'm not sure how that happened.
I think I blame, and this is probably going to be a dumb thing to say, I blame 2013, specifically that year, and I blame specifically 2013 YouTube. So 2013 was like one of the first years when YouTubers were kind of making money off of YouTube. One of the first times, really. The YouTubers
maybe Instagram as well. AF offering. You pay.
Yeah, and Instagrammers, but like and one of the things that companies did because they saw a new medium of an avenue of revenue, a way to advertise, was they start to send creators things without their permission. Like literally, they would get their address through some contact and just dump stuff on them. That's why a lot of creators have PO boxes now. It's literally to prevent that from being a problem. I think at one point, PewDiePie was getting sent like a new package every week or something from a random brand who wanted to give him something,
I think Aaron Rudden, who does tablet reviews, and he stopped doing tablet reviews up to a certain point. And other people have mentioned this before. So artists, you know very well that if you're doing drawing and you do digital drawing, you either have the choice of Wacom or other various competitors from like China, which are like Huion, XP Pen, and blah blah blah. And they have said in videos before that companies who give you product for free and expect a review. Usually these companies also like expect to see the review first before like they okay it. They may be asked to change things as well. So getting stuff for free isn't usually a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
a lot of people think if you get it for free, it affects how you feel about the item, and you are more inclined in a way to give it a better thing. Like you gloss over like imperfections because it's free, I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean FCC guidelines, because all of media on the internet is somewhat controlled by basically the American regulation, so we just kind of have to follow it. But FCC guidelines state that you don't have to say anything. You should never say things you don't mean, even when you're given an item for free, right? But we all know for a fact that people do that. They say things they don't mean all the time, and like we all know for a fact that companies want good reviews. Why would they waste their money if they don't get something out of it, right? So unless they already have a good product, they'll probably just tell you something good or avoid saying something bad. So you get those weird reviews where people just go like, "It turns on." That's nice, and then they'll never say anything. They won't say anything else because all the bad stuff they can't talk about.
Yeah. Right now, like the tablet I've got right now on my that's showing up the screen for the podcast is the XP Pen, like Artist 15.6. And disclosure, yes, I did get it for free. It was it's we consider a long-term loan in a way. Like I can send it back to the company, like if I want like to switch out for a different one as a trial and give them feedback. I like that there are alternatives. I like the display, like color and all that. I really do not like the drawing experience and the inconsistency of the pen. Like my older Wacom was so much nicer to draw on. Like, and I feel like, and the thing is, I felt hurted. I felt slightly bad in a way because I did get this for free. I wanted to like it, and I do like it, but not enough to like draw regularly on it. And I think that's affected why I haven't drawn so much recently. But yeah, and you can go and all that and make good kids, like you just shit, like don't blame the tool, but if I'm not going to enjoy, like, I'm an adult, okay? Like, if I'm an adult, I have choices and I have money to pay for those choices. If I'm not going to be able to enjoy something because, like, it's like, it's not as fun as experience, then I don't have to put up with it.
Exactly. Also, Kaz, yo.
Yes.
Get us a sponsorship, dog. Like, what's going on? Like,
jeez, no.
XP Pen?
This one's like the local branch of like XP Pen. So it's actually through Kari.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, yo, you're getting XP Pen and you didn't involve. Like, I felt betrayed for a moment, to be honest. Like, I was feeling it, like, emotionally.
Do people who sponsor pay in advance when they send product to you?
Yes.
Sponsorship doesn't mean they pay you, by the way.
Doesn't always mean they pay you, yeah. But if they're paying you, yes. They literally pay you on. So you agree on this. I only know this because of some YouTubers I worked with for a bit. They agree on the contract. They pay you, and then they give you a deadline. They usually, although it does depend on your size. Sometimes they do not pay you until you've given them the video in question that they need to review.
Sorry, give me a minute. I'm gonna turn off that beep because no one's in the house right now.
Yeah, sometimes they don't pay you until you've given them the material in question, so that they can review it and have an opinion and then tell you what to change, right? But sometimes they do.
Sorry, guys. Eventually we will move out of this like noise distraction thing for the show.
But eventually, sometimes they do pay you immediately, especially if you're very big. Like if you're someone like what's a big channel these days? Like Mr. Beast or PewDiePie, right? If they're getting sponsored, they're paid immediately. Because there's no meaning in wasting everyone's time. Because, the huge channels, and even if they make their video on you 6 months later, it gives you the same amount of revenue. So you just pay them, and then they'll do it if you've all agreed on things, you pay them and they'll do it whenever they need to. But if you're a relatively small channel, like you're like, and you're not like, you don't have a big reach in the market they're looking for, they might pay you just for like the Raid Shadow Legends way, which by the way, Raid Shadow Legends pays a lot of money. But they might pay you like the Raid Shadow Legends way and like make you wait for
Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends is different though, like because you're not reviewing, you're paid to feature them.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think one would be like Raycon then, because Raycon makes you say a lot of opinions about the product. You have to actually tell people what you think about it. They have like a read, but because of, again, FCC guidelines, you have to tell people what you think about it for real. Which means that like the things that they make the YouTubers say are technically a review. They technically count as reviews.
But you also do like raise your eyebrows because if you're getting paid to say like stuff, then
it's weird.
I can confirm that I have like I worked on like a advertisement thing, but that was for Webtoon, and like they asked us to like produce something, and at least we had control over that sort of thing. But something like this though, like sponsorship, it's different.
I think I subscribe to the again, I'm going to call Linus Tech Tips because you can tell I've been watching a lot of Linus Tech Tips the past few months.
I like that. I like the channel. Like some of the deliveries are weird, but I like the variety in it, and I like my tech. So,
but I subscribe to Linus's idea of what a sponsorship means. Linus says a sponsorship is never a review. Once someone is sponsored, even if they're giving their own opinions in it, you should never treat it like a review. Those opinions are paid for and approved of. So you should always approach it with heavy, like, fucking a bag of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Not a grain. Approach it with a solid 2-3 kilogram bag of salt. That opinion is like, there are guidelines for that, but it's very easy to lie about an opinion. So always approach those things with a big bag of salt. And that's why a lot of reviewers as well do not, unless it's video game reviewers, do not take free stuff. They just buy copies. They just buy their own version of it. It's faster. They can buy it and return it. It's faster to do that and more morally efficient to do that than take the sponsorship.
Plus, I mean, it's definitely faster. And if your channel is like all based on reviews, it can be really tough. Even Brad Colbo, Cowboy is now branded himself. He reviews a lot of tech, but he also like has mentioned like how it works for him. So I like the internet historian ads.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah,
that's where I want to be. That's where that's the height. Like, we made a whole anime intro for the last one. That's where I want to be in my life.
But yeah, like I mean, all that and all aside, right? Like, how is this relevant to artists? Besides the fact, like you're reading product reviews for new tablet and stuff, and like with PCs and all that. For artists and writers, again, how to decide? Like, I want to touch quickly on like how do you decide like whether to work on a comic project, which and we all know that starting out comic projects doesn't always mean that they are paid right away. Even paid projects, right? When you work on a comic, like have the potential to go haywire because like you sign it and then you realize, oh shit, there's actually the scope creep happens. Scope creep, by the way, is that when your scope like expands beyond what was originally agreed on.
Yeah, and it also usually means stuff that you have to you have to work your ass off to get to. And it means that you still basically it's usually typified by the fact that the deadline does not change. Basically, the deadline does not change, but shit increases.
But the shit increases, and then you feel like you're not able to ask for more.
Yeah.
And that's a huge like risk there. Okay. So and the other reason like I want to mention about this exposure is because everyone wants to be paid for their work, and usually, right, in most comic collaborations, quote unquote, it's you're a writer looking for an artist. It's not often an artist looking to like draw things for a writer, because if they like for fun, because usually an artist looking to draw things wants to get paid for it. Usually.
Of course.
Usually.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna do I say my usual statement for all the writers out there? The usual statement?
What, that they are parasites in a way?
Hello, writers of the world. My name is Nen, and I know that all the writers in the world are listening right now. Thank you. You're a parasite. I know you're working really hard to write that very important document that you want someone to draw, and I know that you're working your ass off long nights to think of that dialogue, but you're a parasite. Because quite honestly, the writer does not need you. The writer can just go draw some garbage. Yeah, badly written stories make money all the time. So you need to prove your worth. And you need to figure out how to prove your worth. I'm not going to tell you how, but just so you know, this is a public service announcement from the Webcomics Hub Bureau of Information. Thank you for listening.
Okay, more chilled down, like a part down way of explaining it is, right? Okay, like I do realize that our personal relationship does like complicate this issue a little bit, not in a bad way, but when it comes to when it comes to how like Carlos and I work together on Exco, I'm not just the one writing and developing the world and stuff. Like, yes, I have taken over that, by the way. I know Kari originally created a lot of it. I've since, because I am co-creator now, because I am actually developing all that stuff. Developing all the micro, besides just the macro, the overarching thing. At the same time, I also now do the initial lettering so that he can like kickstart the board process. I help like manage the time frame of like every episode produced. So I don't do just the writing and then like, hey, where's my comic? Hey, where's my comic? Hey, where's my comic? Right? I actually try and like do where I can, and because we do not have the luxury of a pipeline and multiple personnel to like handle this sort of thing. I think 9 times out of 10, writers looking to collaborate, they don't do this sort of thing, which is unfortunate. Or they do not have any like understanding of the visual side as much of the of making comic. And I get it. Like, so people ask me like, so if that's the case, am I just doomed to like never having a comic unless I draw it myself, or I save up money and pay an artist? The answer is no, but it doesn't mean that you are entitled to a comic. Like, and like I tell people first, why must your story be told in comic format? Like, you have to answer that question first, because it is a lot more investment. And because writing is still by far one of the most like quote unquote efficient ways in terms of effort put in for the outreach, like to get a story out there. Yes, visuals help a story a lot, but why not just commission the odd illustration insert and stuff like that? Why do you need a full-blown comic? What does a comic offer that your story, for your story, that you cannot do in with words?
Exactly. Learn to that's a wonderful one, Michi. Learn to storyboard and learn to flat. I know how to do both of those things, and I learned both of those things from this.
I'm bad at storyboarding, but I can but I can comment on composition.
Oh, Moso
My
gave a
big
very good reason.
No, Moso, you know how you do that? You just write her breast boobily. That's how you describe it in text.
Jesus Christ. And freaking Suya with there's too many writers having a vague idea, zero actual writing, and literally no other skill. Learn lettering, learn layouts, learn flats, learn 3D backgrounds, whatever. I actually know all of those. Except actually I do know 3D backgrounds. I finished doing that.
You know what the sad thing is, right? Yeah. You know what the sad thing is? Like buoyant, that buoyant, like, breasticles.
You just fucking jumped from, the sad thing, right? Buoyancy.
Yeah, buoyant breasticles are sad. No, that's not it. The thing is, right, when I started out editing like comics and like providing the stuff, I was actually considered a relative rarity amongst writer editor types.
Really?
Yeah, like I was considered like, oh my gosh, like because most people, like you get editors who like come in and like, yeah, this butt sucks, this, like, change this and that without like having any understanding of like the process or the limitations of the medium or the artist. And then I came in and I was still fledgling. I am still fledgling, in some ways, and then I just went, okay, this doesn't work because but on the visual point of view, and like this is how you like do it how you fix the lettering for this. It's how you like maybe change this to like whatever. And I find it sad that like I'm lucky that we work with editors. We've worked on Webtoon with editors. Like we had the chance to work with Kathleen Wisniewski, former Marvel editor, and she definitely had good insight in both the visual and the line edit side of things. But not everyone can do that. And if you're a writer, you might think, oh my god, I can't think so visually and stuff. Then
learn. I'm not as nice as Kaz about it. Learn. If you can't think visually, you're not worth your weight in fucking sand, let alone gold. Learn.
No, I wouldn't go that far. Like
I just mean in terms of like, if you haven't figured out how to approach this at all, if you don't have any solution for this problem of learning to visually scope out your work and kind of figure out what works and what doesn't, you've got to learn some way.
Yeah. So, and people have asked, like, what are your chances of how will you increase your chances of an artist, like, going on your project, anyway, like if you are broke as hell? Number one, you need to have a really, really compelling story, because the artist is going to be in it for long haul. It's not like a one and done project unless it's a short story or one shot. A lot of people who are starting out, and I don't know why you do it. Why do you start out with a long series? But more power. A lot of people starting out like have all this like, I want to do like a big sprawly shonen series. Believe it.
Okay, Naruto, calm down.
And I'm like, if you do not offer them something that excites them, they're not going to take it, even if you throw like, they're not going to take it, like, especially if you're not going to offer money for it. Like, if people, sometimes you'll be like, oh my god, it's not about the money. You should do like the thing because you're passionate. Yeah, true. But
if you don't, money makes shit easier. Money makes shit way easier. If you don't have any pre-production elements for your comic, use money.
Yeah.
If what I would consider the minimum, and Kaz, you can tell me if I'm going too overboard, but this is the minimum for that I'm preparing for my work, right? Before I even though I've already approached an artist and I've already offered to pay, is the minimum I'm preparing so that they understand where I'm going with things, is finishing your total outline, your plot synopsis, scripting out basically everything up to the end of like a conceivable close point ending point. I personally am doing about a 3-pager, so I'm scripting all 3 pages. I'm working on seeing if I can do 3D modeling of literally 3D modeling of literally every scene, so that every scene in the comic has like a vague visual style that they can follow, and we can of course discuss from then. Then also, what do you call it? Also, if possible, do all your storyboarding. I've already done some of my storyboarding, but I'm still going on with it. And I know I didn't use Blender, even though I know how to use Blender. And I think you need all of that minimum.
Okay. I will mention, however, sometimes if you're not very visually inclined and you're not very good at like pacing and beats and stuff, your storyboarding might actually like get changed by the actual artist. And these days, like I do rough panel splits in my script, like where I think a panel begins. Kari will change them up. And I get a little bit like weird about the fact that I'm not able to like nail them on point. But sometimes he has better ideas, and that's the comic's all better for it. Like in terms of pacing.
I'm very much a believer in like once I've done my thing is a very long drawn out guide. Like the person who is drawing not only knows how to make things work for their art, they know how to make things work visually because they do this all the time. So I've done my bit. They now take that and they refine that. That's kind of what I'm paying them for, literally, to refine or fix.
Yeah. Recently, I wrote a bit of Exco where it reads nice on paper, Like it reads nice as words. The joke would not land well visually, so like I had to like fine, I may have to like give it up or. And that's one thing that writers don't understand. Like they'll look at it. Why did you cut out all my absolutely Pulitzer winning one-liners and stuff? I'm just like, wow, God, hold your horses.
I want some. But Kaz, they promised you 50% of all future profits. Like you shouldn't be like that. And also, Michi, you're not wrong. 50% is way too much. I'm a big fan of the 30-70. 30 writer, 70 artist.
You want to write Pulitzer winning so you go do a novel? Like, yeah, do a novel and leave the artist alone, man.
Michi, please stop. I need you to stop adding me at this time of night as a website programmer. I need you to please stop reminding me of my struggles.
I have experience in website dev like from a long time ago. I get it. Like the person designing it isn't the person programming it, and they're like, the programmer says, "Oh, this is not possible." It's like, what the hell? Architect, which is civil engineer. And I moderate an Animal Crossing Discord server, and people like want things in like a bot, and our bot benders, our bot wranglers are just like, yo, how the hell are we going to implement this? And someone's like, what? Yeah, it's like, can we implement this? And should we implement this? Is also like,
because like I said, like just with a lot of these things, and I think this applies to the artist, this applies to the engineer and all that stuff. It's like you need to remember that all the crap that you've put down is interesting and all, but this person literally has to problem solve their way through all of it. You're not problem solving with them. If you're a writer artist and you're working with another artist, then you can problem solve together. That's a worthwhile relationship. That's a different situation. But if you're just a writer and you're calling an artist, you cannot problem solve with them. You can't. The problems they're solving are different from yours.
Yeah. Either you learn what they're going through and help to problem solve with them, and make sure you don't fall into Dunning-Kruger. That's really dangerous. Like, I know a little bit of art now, and I think you should like I will admit I have clashed with like Kari several times on like certain visual things and all that, and
that's the Marvel magic, right? That's the Marvel magic, Cass.
Jeez, but no. At the end of it, like I think like as long as both parties understand like and it's not. I mean, this whole power dynamics thing in a way, and power knowledge dynamics in a way, isn't it? Like how like. I try not to. I mean, you don't think that the other person doesn't know what the hell they're doing, because if you think that way, why are you even working with them?
Yeah.
Why are you working with them? What the hell they're doing?
I hate so many people who make stuff.
So yeah, don't be a dick is one way to get a collab.
Number one.
Have a really convincing, like compelling, like USP for your project, and
Also remember that even
and
if your story is compelling, you worked hard on it and it's interesting, and I mean like truly interesting, it's also a dime a dozen, and there's probably 1,000 billion other copies of exactly what you wrote.
you are not entitled to having a comic adaptation without the money.
Yes, queen.
And now I feel bad because grandma's cake recipe was like I just but I'm like, okay,
No,
I guess it's compelling because it's written in limerick. It's a good challenge and he enjoys it. So yeah, I appreciate you, by the way.
that's which is rock solid, kids. Execution is way better than plot. If you can't contribute to execution, get out. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
This is why
Yeah.
like you don't even have to be good at drawing to storyboard, guys. I am a terrible artist if you can call my scribbles art, but I still know how to reframe a scene using images. Like if you don't want to hand draw, sometimes I use images of actual people with like and camera shot. It works for what I need to do, right? It's just a bit of editing and using an image. My favorite one is to use what do you call it, Benedict Cumberbatch as my MC every time I'm doing a storyboard. He's the one I place in the scene, so I can build the scene around. I don't know why I do this at this point. I think it's very funny. But if you don't want to hand draw, you can literally image bash so that you can get across a point and rub out faces with paint. It shows people what you're trying to show with you using assets that make it obvious what it is in case your art's that bad, and it's simple. Fuck.
Okay. But yeah, never offer to don't approach the artist like to pay the exposure. And although like I think we'll try to end the segment because I have we had a proposition, like a friend had a proposition from somebody who calls himself the father of literature RPG.
Oh my
It was a
god.
paid proposition in
Yeah.
one ArtStation.
Mhm.
But the guy in question also has the guy also has a bit of like a sus history with this whole thing, because like Father of Lit RPG is a self-assigned title,
Yes.
and he has had a reputation for what is it for like yeeting people out of like Facebook groups who have criticized his writing and all that. So yeah, even if this project is paid, sometimes it's exactly worth it.
I'm just thinking about this now, and like I want someone to walk up to me and call themselves the father of a certain genre and ask me to do something for them. I'll kind of lose my mind at that, to be honest. It'd make me pretty happy. Like not because I'll take the deal, just because it's funny that someone thought was ridiculous enough to say that about themselves and also ask me to do something at the same time. I don't know, but yeah, that's God. Please be more discerning about who you give your stuff to, guys. Okay, be nice to yourselves. Uh, honestly, just be nice to yourselves. Oh God, I call myself the master of drawing pebbles and little rocks. But Jay, you are ridiculous. You're a ridiculous person. Like, I talk to you regularly enough. I know this. Okay. Oh God, Kaz. Do we? Okay, I'm just gonna say this last one so we're sure of the answer, because I feel like we went very far off topic, back on topic, and then we're back here. So, name and shame people. Yes or no? How do you feel? No or yes?
Not. I mean, not unless certain conditions are met.
Okay, that's fair.
You can share your experience. You can also talk about them through the Whisper Network, but putting them on blast is something else.
I'm on board with you on that, to be honest. Okay, we got that. I want to be the Shonen King. You'll never be the Shonen King.
Who the hell?
Kaz, do you want to be the Shonen King?
I don't know. I thought somebody wanted to be the Pirate King and all that.
Oh my God! Don't remind me of One Piece.
Okay. No, don't put in blast and primary account. Yeah, that's real. Okay, I think that's our show for the day, isn't it? Like we went through quite a lot.
We read Jay's second comment. Use your all powerful words. All right. Yeah, we went through a lot. I learned a lot. I think we had a really good conversation going. All right. I think that's it from me. I don't know about you, Kaz. You good?
pretty good. Yes, I think we did a good job.
I think we did a good job. It's been 2 hours. It's been a wonderful time talking to you guys, to be honest. Thank you for following today, Crate, and thank you for following today, Chris Maddox. You're both very welcome to this community, and I'm just glad to see you. I'm glad that you also contributed, Crate. Very good. Anyway, it's 4 a.m. in Suya's impossible fake time zone. How dare you exist in that time zone with those people? And thank you very much, everyone, for showing up tonight. You're always appreciated. I hope you guys are here next time. I will try and get a guest. We'll probably have a guest because I have sent out emails. If you're on the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. If you're on the Twitch, make sure you follow. Make sure you consider going to patreon.com/webcomics hub. That is patreon.com/WEC. No, I misspelled webcomics. I'm a failure.
Wow. Hashtag scuff is still going on, guys.
Patreon.com/webcomics hub. And consider giving us, I even make a second discount, $1. We're going to be making more. We're trying to make more stuff. We're trying to get our stuff together. Thank you very much for all of your support and time. And at this point, we got to go to sleep. We got to get some rest. We'll see you soon. Maybe 2 weeks, next 2 weeks. Thank you for being all awesome. Also, follow us on Twitter. Good night. Oh, Salmon was here. So much love. We have such a good
Thank you very much for coming around. I really appreciate it. I hope to maybe I get better at this sort of thing with due time. So
I fucked up the title. Please just forgive me already.
But yeah, he's been Nen, I've been Kaz, and we the purveyors of scuff on this podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.